some other events have occurred that I have not done yet,
Sure.
but I still plan to just call their administrator or their chief engineer and say, can we just make this happen, or is this going to be a problem, and explain our situation. And also, I believe that Jeff, did you get some sense that maybe the association was going to contact PUD directly?
Yes, this is Jeff. I spoke with Jerry and
Sue Miller.
Who is the lady?
Sue Miller.
Sue Miller. Dan, I didn't talk to you about this yet, but on an unrelated fire department situation, I had to go up there. And when I pulled up into the area that I did not know was the easement, she was on my truck in about 1 second. Mm-hmm. So she said, "Are you here about the sanitary district trees?" And I was like, "No, I am not. I am here looking for a rope rescue spot for training." And so I said, if this is a PUD easement, it seems like this would be a PUD problem. I didn't identify myself as a board member because I was in uniform. So I said, I would contact PUD. And she turned on her PUD alarm and went, and was probably headed straight for PUD. I don't know, but got real excited to talk to PUD. So hopefully that is in process.
This is Dan. So you're aware, you've looked at it. There are other dead trees laying up there that have been there,
yes,
for decades. I don't know if this can turn into a Pandora's box to start cleaning up the whole hillside, but those behind the old treatment plant, the pump station, those have been down and dead for years.
Yeah,
decades since I came here. So what will come up, I believe, is they're going to expect it all cleaned out, or just a PUD easement that PUD cut and dropped?
That's the first I've heard of any other trees. So
the issue, speaking strictly from a defensible space position, is that the trees in the district's area are not the problem. The problem is everything that's underneath their patio, because they have growth up literally underneath their decks.
Yes.
So if they are concerned about wildfire and defensible space, they need to start underneath their deck first, because it really won't matter what we do in that area down there if they have 1,400 tons of fuel underneath their house.
Are there a number of homes? This is John. Are there a number of homes that are in the same situation, or are you referring to
I would say
specific?
I would say almost all of the homes there are in the same situation. And we advised many of the residents that came out to talk to us that we had applied for several through the fire district. We'd applied for grants for defensible space, but that I could not promise our assistance, but they really needed to focus on what was underneath their houses. At least 10 feet. Give me a 10-foot barrier from their homes.
So this is Dan. The reason you haven't heard it before, because it's the newest contractor has brought up, what about the rest of it is laying there? So the reason I bring it up here, Mr. Cloud had said it would be more if I have to clean up the rest of the fire, the fuel. We called it the fuel. Mm-hmm. So that bit could change if it said yes or whatever direction, but this isn't going to, if the property owners are thinking it's all going to get cleaned up, there'll be no more dead brush or trees, that's not part of the scope. And I don't think we've been clear about that. And I really didn't understand it till we've had other, of the ones looking at it to clean it up.
The other thing that's an issue, this is Jeff, is that PUD dug out a power pole there and cut away a large swath of unstable sand. So there's there are more issues on the PUD side than there are on the NOSD side. Because now they're starting to get a tremendous amount of erosion. And so I think we need to have PUD probably start their project and then maybe reevaluate and see. I could have some people come in from state forestry and look at it and be like, okay, yes or no, and give us an actual answer. But I think the PUD problem has to be solved first. That's just my humble opinion.
And that's the home, this Dan, and that's the home you're talking about with the decks that are hanging over off of Castle there,
Yes,
that loop around in that circle.
yes, I
Correct?
had a very kind young lady named Kathy that invited myself and Chief Baker up onto her deck to kind of get an idea, and I could see straight down to the pump house and into that area, but they had tons and tons of fuel sitting under their house. So it has to be moved. I mean, it wouldn't matter if we concreted the entire NOSD property down there. Everything that's under their house, that's under their property, would take their house down in a matter of seconds.
And this is Jerry, so there is such a thing as the state forestry consults that they might
Yes.
offer in a situation like that?
Yes.
I would say we should go forward with that, because what it's going to do is, especially, basically it's going to take the wedge under the tent that's being presented by the TRC request, thinking this is all somebody else's problem that needs to be solved to keep them safe. And we respond with, well, let's just take a bigger look at this. And we get back a report that's, well, yeah, the PUD is a small part and the NOSD is an intermediate part, but the main part is what you've got. And then we look at it and say, we will if you will. And maybe get at a comprehensive report that actually also brings to light in an official way the problem presented by their own stuff. And then that might moderate the stridency of any positions they're taking with regard to us.
And this is Jeff. I also nearly got thrown off of that lady's deck because I suggested that she cut down a considerable amount of brush and trees that were going to burn her house down. And I thought they were going to throw us both off the deck to our deaths because they were like, we will
That's my point. Actually,
cut these trees down. And I was like, okie dokie.
that was my point.
Yeah.
Over the years, as I stated, I've been here 26 years, that hillside is sunk, taken out the district's chain link fence. So I've literally watched during wintertime storms, trees fall over and that hillside moves down.
Yeah.
And it's all sand. And there are dead trees laying everywhere. It worries me when you want to go in there and start cutting and moving more. Yes, you have the houses above, but you have the treatment, the pump station down below.
Our risk.
Yes,
Yeah.
that it will come into our infrastructure as well.
Yeah, unless they want to build us $1 million retaining wall to keep all that from sliding down.
Is that something that the fire district would have to spend money on to get the state
No,
forestry?
it's a freebie.
Is it possible to just
Sure.
say, just not as a board member, but as you happen to wear two hats, maybe we could ask you to go ahead and do that as
Yep.
the beginning of
Be
some kind
happy
of a
to.
comprehensive look?
This is John. Would they be willing to generate some sort of a
Yeah.
report?
I believe
this
so.
comprehensive?
I can have, Jen is their expert that goes around the state and does this for a living. And I'm sure she could generate at least an email that would say that fuel load is yes or no, or
Yeah. Well, now that this has been brought to light, I think we're, almost, if there's that kind of a resource available, we have to ask for it.
And John, then we could proceed if there is anything for us to do as far as proceeding.
And we can keep the PUD in the loop on the
Yeah.
fact that that's happened.
All right, so
So be it.
this is John again. Jeff, you'll go ahead and contact the forestry people and see what they might do or what might be generated.
yes.
And I'll still call it PUD just to let them know the general, what's going
Thank you.
on. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, Stan, back to district report. On page 2, we've already had both Cape's pump stations serviced. Somehow Cummins missed the fact that they were supposed to load bank test one of the generators. They already serviced it, but they're gonna have to come back. They're not going to charge us for travel and per diem again. They will charge us for the 4 hours for the load bank test. It's a 2-hour load bank, but it's a 4-hour charge because they have to set up and they have to demob it when they're done. So they will come back and finish that for both Capes pump stations. The automatic transfer switches were checked and everything passed. The main pump station had a SCADA failure. We'd lost communications. So we had no telemetry telling us what was going on there for probably about a week. And the automation group, TAG, they came out, they got it back up and running. The issue they found was the equipment that we installed so that we could go to internet, that company went out of business. And on the 11th of September, they just shut everything off and stopped working. We thought it was an equipment failure. It was the company declared, I guess, bankruptcy, shut down, and was no longer operational. But TAG ran up here real quick and they put in some new equipment and got it up and running. But they are advising us that we probably need to upgrade the equipment to basically, as Joe was saying earlier, the technology has changed in the last 3 years that drastically. So it's not that it's a failed system, it's the equipment that we're gonna have to upgrade. And I got a rough estimate of about $5,000 on that, but they're still getting the parts together, getting part prices and stuff like that for us. So I just wanted to give the board some idea what it might cost. And I want to reiterate, it's a rough estimate at this point.
And that was only 3 years ago that we had that put in?
I think it was 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Can I see the contracts when you get a chance?
For,
Yeah, I want to see the warranties. And I want to find out if there's bankruptcy, we need to file a claim.
So this is John. Our contract is with TAG.
yes,
That's in business, but they were using as one of their sub vendors or whatever,
they're vendors.
this outfit that went into bankruptcy.
That's my understanding.
So,
I'm still gathering the information, so I'm trying to get who the vendor is.
yeah, and if their contract was with TAG, then TAG owes us and they owe TAG. So, I mean, we must have
Or
had
is
some,
it the same?
we must have had some assurance or that or one.
This is Dan. What I did talk to TAG about was, this is the, we went with one that did not have an annual fee. So it was free. Basically, you buy it and it's your equipment. The warranties were for a year. So I know the equipment warranties were over already. Anyway.
Okay,
So there's no, like you would have Verizon or, some internet provider, type of stuff. There was none of that.
okay.
So we had no annual fees with it. It was equipment we purchased. It's now defunct.
To me, the biggest piece of information was it's only a 1-year warranty. So, okay,
Most all of the industrial stuff that we do purchase is a 1-year. Pumps, everything's a 1 year.
okay.
So question. This Jim, so we're good to go then
We
with
are
all
good.
that system?
Mhm.
It's all good.
Yes, it's
For
operational.
another 3 years.
Yeah, it's operational. The automation group is telling us we should go to something more permanent than what we have.
And that's what this estimated cost is all about.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's still in the works. I'll have more information at the next board meeting.
Yeah, sure.
All the pump stations are operating without issues. The treatment plant is running well within its permits. Treatment plant is requiring repairs to its electrical power feed to the treatment plant. Basin 3, we have solenoids that open air relief valves and close them. Basin 3's does not work. We put new valves in, but there's no power out there, and we cannot reset the breaker to the electrical plug-ins at the light poles. So there's a dead short from the blower room out that supplies power out there to the light pole plug-ins, not the actual lights themselves, but there's plug-in receptacles at all poles in case we need to plug in tools or something. So we don't know if it's just a bad receptacle, but Monday, the electrician will be here to troubleshoot all that.
And This is Jim. You're not using the basin then, number 3?
No, we're using the basin. It's just the air release valve. It's a safety feature.
Okay.
It doesn't affect it, but it needs to be operational. 2 reasons. One, you don't want it to overcharge air pressure too high. And 2, it's required by our NPDS permit. Anything approved in the building of this treatment plant has to stay operational. So either way, we have to fix it. So West Tech has started on the pre-design report to submit for the Avalon pump station. The pre-design, we have a demo next week of pumps from a vendor to come up here. It's a little bit different system, but we need to go through these before they can actually can finish the pre-design report. I have to pick the equipment. So that's the next stage. So that'll take probably a few more weeks. So Xylem on number 5, equipment purchase. Xylem has estimated for building the Ocean Highlands control panel replacement, November of 2024. There has been some technology changes that we've upgraded in other panels that they're going to have to incorporate into the one at Ocean Highlands. So we're still in that. They have not physically started building the panel yet. The UPS on number 6, page 3, the UPS battery backup system will be installed September 26th. These are these boxes still sitting here behind me. We get the IT people back here to finish that. Our security alarm system that, you know, if there's any break-ins or stuff, we're called on, any pump stations are broke into. Benton Electric has been servicing this system for the last 12 years. They shut down their low voltage division. Their guy passed away, so they decided to shut that down. They are changing us over to low voltage northwest. We do have an equipment failure now. It's our dual path for cell phone and internet communication that will call Alarm Central and notify us if there's a break-in. So we're in the middle of changing that over, getting it repaired. Low voltage alarm, and I think I've attached here.
Yeah.
For the district, for the board review, the service agreement. This service agreement is to come repair the part. It's not a contract for service for monthly service. This is just to come up and make the repairs to the dual path call out that works on the cell phone and stuff. So that's what these 2 items are. So they should be here next week. He's estimating he's going to receive the equipment by Tuesday, and he's hoping to be here on Friday, but he will verify that once he gets the equipment in his hand. Number 7, office specialist position has been filled. She can start October 1st. We still have an open operator position. We're not getting any qualified applicants, none at all. I mean, we've had some applicants, but none of them meet the minimum qualifications. So we're still advertising for that. Still waiting for Weeks Vocational about their possible training. So that I should know something hopefully by the end of this month. They're waiting for the doctor's final release for his restrictions. That's what they're waiting for. And then finally is we're going to talk about the operations summary at all?
This is John. We sort of talked about it already, I believe, and maybe we'll just take some of the discussion that you've noted and stick it at the end of this summary somewhere.
Okay.
Unless somebody has anything else to add.
No.
And what's not on here, because I'd already had this written, was DEQ was here Wednesday, and it was permit renewal. They did Randall Bailey came, he kind of made it an inspection at the same time. Usually we always meet with the permit writer. If there's any changes or anything the district's requesting, the permit writer needs to know that up front. If there's any changes coming from rules from EPA, DEQ, any state, they let us know. Especially if there's going to be equipment required, changes for testing. It went pretty well. This permit writer's only been working for DEQ for 9 months. So she was pretty new at it, but she seemed pretty well informed. So, but it wound up being a walkthrough inspection, which was not scheduled by DEQ. And of course, the 2 year ago thing came up with him.
Yeah.
He brought that up to Brian and I a couple of times. And he was explaining to the permit writer that this is a delicate bay with oysters and clams, and she didn't even understand how that mattered for our permit. Our permit's our permit. So she's only dealing with the discharge going out in the ocean. We did explain to her how it's set up and how it works, stuff like that. And of course, we have 2 outfalls. We have the old original one. And but the other one was not a scheduled inspection. So just FYI for the board.
If I could back up for a moment, this is John. Under the operations summary for Jeff, we kind of discussed what we might want to talk about in a workshop environment.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be sending out an email over the course of the next day or two to all the board members to solicit inputs for what you think we ought to talk about in the workshop. And then perhaps at next month's board meeting, we'll come up with sort of a list of what should be in the workshop, not to go through the subject matter of what would be discussed, but the topics. So that was earlier on before you got here. So is that the end of the district report then?
That's in the district report. And if the board members have any questions, please go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I have either a question or this could fall under old business. Is it okay if I?
Please go ahead.
Okay, this is Jeff. I think it's old business that there was a situation that was occurring at the Capes. Has that resolved? Has that gentleman paid his fee?
No. So we do have an update for that.
Okay,
There is automatic for utilities, there's an automatic lien. So if the title company will call if he goes to sell it. And that's when you turn in whatever is outstanding on that property. So we don't need to go get an attorney or take him to court. It's already set up for us. The only thing that's going to happen is he can just let this keep building up, which, I mean, we don't have any limit to stop it.
is anybody on?
It's yes, we are being recorded. So no, it hasn't. The property owner has not resolved it, but what we found out is that when they go to sell it, we will be paid.
That's what I thought. So that
No, it's
Jeff was in the same mind. It's like,
Yeah.
just let the lien be there, and when it matters.
yes.
And Mr. Chair, I don't know, we can discuss it off record, because I have some other information, but it's pertaining to the fire district, but I have some information about that building permit. We may be able to resolve it more quickly.
All right.
Not sure if it'd be good to be in public comment or in public record.
All right. So
So- This is
Yes.
Jim. So I'm not getting it all, I guess. Is he gonna go ahead and finish building it and occupying it without paying?
possibly. He could, right now there's a foundation. I don't know, the guys drive by and check it. I don't think there's been any movement on it. There's no walls going up. Remember, his permit, I believe, through the county is good for 24 months. So,
And Jeff's information is gonna pertain to some of that process,
Okay.
I think.
so
So we're gonna let that go for now.
Okay, all right.
Old business. In regard to the Avalon pump station project, you've already discussed that.
yes.
And we also discussed the Oceanside pump station upgrade. Hotels, new business. You have before you a public meetings policy and a resolution, which should be 2405 on the resolution. This was something that SDIS required that we do, and in fact provided a model which I took and revised to some degree to make it more consistent with what we currently do, particularly the structure of the agenda and several other items. We can take a look at it, or if you want to wait till next month, I think we're still all right into October. When do we have to officially have that as a document? I'm not too sure when the window closes for the benefits that we receive on our insurance policy by completing this document and the other items.
This is Erin, and I think it's November. I don't know the date.
Okay,
So if we approve it
so
in the October
we're not
meeting.
pushed hard.
Yeah, this is the first I've seen it, and I'd love the chance to.
Excuse me?
This is the first I've seen it, and I would
Yeah.
appreciate a little more time to read it. I doubt I'm gonna raise anything. I just, from my own conscience, just like to read it before I vote on it.
Yes, Jim.
This is Jim. Are there areas that we should look at that are significantly a big change for us?
No, I don't think so. Dan and Erin have already looked at it, and I don't think we really saw anything that needed changing. The only thing I added to their policy that they proposed was the fact that our board members sometime during the course of their tenure need to receive the training, which is right now online for public meetings, because our budget is over $1 million. What's interesting is